I think the US market is in a really interesting point in its evolution. The good news is that across the market, I see tremendous excitement, energy, and investment in a set of initiatives, collaborative ventures, offerings, and solutions which genuinely have the potential to be game-changing in the 2020s. I think the industry is in a genuinely strong position. It's helped by its wealth and scale. So a business like NBC Universal alone has more ad revenue passing through its coffers than the entire UK and German TV ad markets added together. And when you have that kind of scale and the ability, therefore, to launch new things like a sea flight, of your own volition, you're in a pretty strong position. I think the second great positive is that there's a wave of innovation in the market funded by an incredible array of very exciting startup businesses. And I see signs of that ecosystem emerging in Europe, but not to the same degree. I think it's easy to overlook the fact that you've got an incredible set of companies that have grown at a real trot, and they've brought new capabilities into the market in areas like ACR data, in areas like identity management and resolution. When I look at things like blockchain investments, there's a lot happening here, which I think is tremendously exciting. The European TV market doesn't have some of those same strengths. There's incredibly strong companies doing great things. I would single out companies like Sky. I think the big commercial broadcasters have some really interesting ventures underway, but they're all grappling with the challenge of scale, or rather the lack of it. And there's a real thrust in the market at the moment towards collaboration, partnership, joint ventures. I think that's going to be a really dominating theme in the 2020s as Europe looks to copy and replicate some of what you've got over here. Don't get me wrong, though. I certainly know stakeholders in Europe who would say that we don't want to see some of what you have over here in Europe. It's a different market, and it's very hard to read across. But from a technology and innovation point of view, I think there's no doubt that the US is really setting the pace in the industry today. I think there are some pit holes ahead. One of them is that you have a lot of very large businesses doing exciting things, but in many cases they're doing very different things. I think the buy side, when I spend time engaging with it, will talk endlessly about the friction of dealing with multiple MVPD footprints, scale platforms like Roku and Samsung. All of them are doing exciting things individually, but they're not all doing the same thing. Trying to plan and execute a campaign nationally at scale, if you want to focus on addressable, involves dealing with a lot of intermediaries and parties, and trying to attribute value to that campaign in a joined up, consistent way remains profoundly challenging. And that's before we start thinking about linear, multi-platform or TV everywhere, and digital video. So lots of positives, but a lot of problems still to solve for. I sometimes think that Europe is like Switzerland. It's very collaborative. America, I think, has lots of buckets of collaboration, but sometimes the industry is at risk of losing sight of the big picture. What should we be doing collectively as an industry, as opposed to in groups or consortia or small sort of pockets that are working very well, doing great stuff, but they're doing different stuff.